look at that styling here. 11 centimeters or 4 inches wider than the standard A6. High gloss black, then really large air intakes, large grills, special styling, and also here the high gloss wheel arches. RS6, isn't it? And then here, like from the RS5, extra wide body kit here. You can almost grab in here. 21-inch wheels. The only thing is that this is not an RS6. This is the all-new Audi A6 Allroad. And yeah, as I have seen this car for the very first time, like, that must be the all-new RS6. Yeah, but it is actually not. Why this is the all-new Audi A6 Allroad and what they want to do with this vehicle here, I will explain to you now here on How to Gefühl with Thomas in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with the all-new Audi A6 Allroad, making its comeback, the very popular crossover-ish model. If you want something between wagon and SUV, there it is. At this moment here, two things. First of all, we have it here in the dynamic mode. That means it's 20 millimeters lower in that dynamic mode. Also happens when you're driving faster than 120 kilometers an hour, so like about 75 miles now on the motorway for efficiency. And this is the standard body kit. And the standard body kit has the darkened Audi rings. They are still somewhat three-dimensional. Then the special front grille, also here with these vertical black elements inside, and also then the matte black front bumper together with high gloss black on the side. As I said, standard body kit, and they honestly really make an RS6 styling as standard for the A6 Allroad. And also you can see here on the side you have the high gloss black wheel arches together with the largest wheels, and you can see there's hardly any space right there in the dynamic mode. But we can also make an Audi A6 Allroad out of it. As easy as that. So I go into the drive select and then I select max. And then we will pump this car up because this suspension is very variable. It's an adaptive air suspension, and this is the first thing you can do, you know. So there's the minus 20 millimeter dynamic level, then there's a standard level. Then you can go up 35 millimeters for the off-road mode, and on top of that, even 15 millimeters higher in the lift mode. And this is now soon finished, the maximum lift mode. And suddenly the car looks a little bit different when there is more space right here, doesn't it? So this makes this car also, so much variable, very, very interesting. And you can still get this somewhat more classic A6 Allroad styling. I've also maybe from our old video how the previous generation looked like, and you can get a similar styling with the brighter lower bumper here. Like this part here in the front can also be gotten into like this silver contrast look, and then also here these vertical elements are also in silver, then somewhat similar to what the previous generation has looked like. So, but it's interesting that they make basically the standard look, this sinister sporty RS6 look, and then only optionally you can get this classic crossover A6 Allroad styling. The same will also soon happen to the rear. I will show that to you. Yeah, but a very interesting choice. And I have also been asking Audi, like, what is the focus of this vehicle? Is it supposed to ride more comfortable or sportier? And they said kind of both. What do they mean by that? So the wheels, they have a larger diameter, so they are basically also higher here. So they have, on the one hand, more dampening. At the same time, the tires are also always wider, so here in the width, in comparison to the standard model, and that makes the ride sportier, together with the air suspension, which can go really low for a sporty ride, but also higher for off-road riding. The most comfortable setup is, of course, always the one in the middle, because then it rules up and down. Interesting also that it starts 19-inch, and 20-inch, 21-inch. These are the largest ones, also with this large hole style, so to speak. And these are 285 millimeters. And also the steps 265, 275, 285, depending on the inch size. So they get wider and wider and wider. In the standard A6 Allroad styling, as I said here, high gloss black, but the optional, let's say, old school look, then you have a matte black here on the side. And yeah, really like taken from the RS5, this like how wide this body kit is here. We just shown you the RS5, and then you have the same element there in that RS model. Very interesting. Also high gloss black here in the lower part, and then with these cut-ins to have the special all-road look. And the standard model would also then have here the high gloss black frames around. Lengths at 5 meters and 197 inches is because of the bumpers also a little bit longer than the standard model. This one gets a Quattro Ultra overdrive, at least in Europe. That means you would still have a rear wheel bias in the moment of acceleration, then more power is sent to the rear. But when you're just cruising, the rear can even be uncoupled, actually. So it's not the standard torsion Quattro overdrive 4060 as we used to have that one in this new A6 generation. Then here the rear, the light strip goes all the way through. OLED design elements here, they have different steps. So they have a base LED, then matrix LED in the front, then the digital matrix LED, which we've also seen in the front right here, and then you can also get the OLED here for the rear. And you can see a very interesting three-dimensional styling here on top of that. You can really feel it actually. And then once again, we do have the Allroad badge here, and this styling is here in black. That is the standard. And then also, like the previous generation, you can get a more silver look also for the rear. And honestly, this is so to speak fun because that's the RS6 look. On the other hand, if I would get an Allroad model, I would actually prefer the all-road styling to have like, this is the all-road model, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's maybe a matter of preference. So tell me in the comments if you do prefer this new sinister, sporty black styling. I know Leah does. She always likes that kind of styling. I'm more a friend of like bright and maybe some chrome. And if I go for the all-road model, I would like this, you know, silver contrast and so on. And two more important things here in the rear. The whole car is from the body kit wider, yes. Like this 11 centimeters and 7 centimeters of that is also the track, like, you know, how the wheels are mounted basically. So it's 7 centimeters wider in the rear, 7.4 centimeters wider in the front from the track, and then 11 centimeters overall. And standard for the plug-in hybrid, optional for the TDI here, for the diesel. You get a rear axis steering. The rear wheels then turn up to 5 degrees in the opposite direction than the front wheels, making a better turning circle and maneuvering around and so on. Yeah, but very interesting. What a large surprise Audi has for us here today. Oh, and look at these. I mean, these always look like RS exhaust, right? Here on one side though, because this is here the 3-liter TDI. Let's take a look under the hood. Oh, but I can also show you the base normal level, by the way. If I go to balanced mode, then you can take a look like how the car just looks on the normal riding height. So there we go. So the European market will start with the 3-liter TDI, 300 horsepower, around 3.5 seconds in the acceleration figure. MHEV Plus, that means you will have even some recuperation moments and some electric driving moments. We can also see the engine right here. Then you will have a 2-liter 4-cylinder plug-in hybrids with 367 horsepower system output, also about 5.5 seconds in the acceleration figure. 21 kilowatt hours net as for the battery size. And the North American market will start a little bit later, and that one will get the 3-liter V6. I mean, if we look at the normal A6 figures, also probably 367 horsepower and sub 5 seconds in the acceleration figure. But they concentrate with this model here rather on the high horsepower engines in the model lineup, because this is supposed to be this top end spectrum, which is usually the RS6. And yeah, we will see about the RS6 soon, but probably, yeah, you've seen already some of the styling basically. Here you can see once again the digital matrix LED. They also even have this kind of like cage, you know, honeycomb cage there behind it in the daytime running light. But the normal A6 also has that. And then here the main headlamp unit is underneath. Audi sometimes makes it a little bit complicated with this 3-step design, then, you know, in this like that they have 3 different light options. Yeah, to me that's often a little bit too complicated. Or what do you think about that? So now let's take a look at the interior. I mean, still can't believe that they have the RS6 look on the Allroad. That came really unexpected here today. Yeah, I'm looking forward to your comments. Here, by the way, we also have a soft close. There we go. And the door hands, they are not coming out. They're integrated right there, but then you don't have like a real feedback behind or something, you know. So, yeah, as I said, the adaptive air suspension will go up and down depending on the driving situation, and you can also set it in the infotainment system. So when we now go to the interior, I can also show you all the settings of this air suspension. That will be very interesting. And the A6 Allroad has always been driving in a different way indeed. So I'm looking forward to how that translates to when we have more diameter, wider tires, and then also this, they said they have a different setup for the air suspension. So I'm looking forward to find out what that actually means. Yeah, very interesting. And then here, inside of the door, here you can see this is, honestly, it's not hard pack, but it's also not a proper leatherette. So I think this could have been better in the build quality, nice ambient lighting integration. This one still gets the old element here with the high gloss back and this one button design. The all new Audi Q9 has now introduced the classic styling here, so I'm looking forward that that one will return. Hard pack at the inside of the doors is just a rubber you know, background here. Here now, by the way, it's in a normal level, you know, but still the ground clearance is 3.4 centimeters higher than the normal A6 model in any case, basically. And then interior, this one has the standard A6 steering wheel here with this open design. However, what we now do get back are these jog wheels. Happy to see them. Yeah, you see that they didn't plan with them from the beginning, but they basically made now a hole in there and put these jog wheels in there, the right side with the volume. The other thing is like it's a whole button for one, for all other functions, but then at least you have like a clicking feedback, so that's good to have. Here, criticized by a lot of viewers are these large bezels around the screen, because the screen is really narrow considering how much bezel you have on the outside there, but the screen itself looks cool. Then Audi makes it kind of complicated with the seats, because you have actually 4 different seat forms. This is the multi-contour seat, the top seat. They really have, yeah, honestly, 4 different seat forms. You have a base seat, you have a sport seat, you have a sport seat plus with integrated head restraint, and then you have here the top-end comfort seat, the multi-contour seat. And for the base seat and the sport seat in Europe, they offer fabric and then optional a mix of leatherette and animal skin. And for the other 2, the sport seat plus and this, only animal skin. So once again, Audi is the only premium manufacturer is not offering an animal-free solution and no high-grade leatherette, and they just don't get the idea that this is important nowadays to many people, and of course in the first place to the animals. Audi just doesn't get it, and I don't understand it. Obviously, Audi does not care about animals. Can just say it in that way. And then here, with 189, 6'2", you have some headroom left to this fixed glass roof, and you have this digital shade. I can soon show that to you. And then steering wheel here, up and down, in and out. This is then the electric way. And yeah, I can always say so far, like, the ergonomics of the seat is pretty nice. We will, of course, would have to test so many different cars with all the different seat forms. So you can see, yeah, once again, Audi makes it kind of complicated to configure a car. Of course, I will now open the door for Leah that she can film from this side, because I just forgot the door closing sound. That's really solid. Love that. Awesome. Yeah, and then welcome to this cockpit then in this case. Of course, in the studio here, it's always a little bit darker. However, then we can see more of the ambient lighting. And that is really beautifully done here. It's subtle here, for example, also in the middle console, and then it shines a little bit like there. So that's pretty cool. Also pay attention to that we have here in the A6, this is like a little bit padded here on the sides each. However, with your knees, you rather hit the hard element here on the top part. But that's again a nice thing, because this is then here matte wood. I appreciate that. Only the rest of the middle console here, this is then high gloss black. So I would wish maybe for a matte wood element here all the way as well. cup holders, nice ambient lighting integration, 4-dot design, appreciate that. This, by the way, the key fob. It's always funny that with the Audi keys and the cup holders, they always fit somewhat in the cup holder. That's the thing, you know, that has been an Audi thing ever since, actually. Still a manual volume jog, yeah. And then 2 USB-C chargers in the front. Inductive charging pad is also ventilated. A passenger display right here. Of course, you have different options also for the infotainment systems. But here, once again, this grayscale design, I don't appreciate it. I think they should really fix on the looks of their infotainment and also on the... so let's see. Oh, Audi tradition scene. So go to checkout. Let's see, I want to have the... Please scan the QR code on your phone. Then you can continue shopping in the My Audi app. Yeah, and that's the thing. You have to buy this scheme, and that's a no-go for a 100,000 euro car. And then here we have the cockpit with this black panel design. Once again, really large bezels here and there. And another problem of this new interface is also that I cannot reach the climate unit that well. But yeah, here it's not too bad, but you always have to put your hand like this, you know, and then you have to have very mobile fingers, because if you want to put your hand like this doesn't, like, finger is not long enough, kind of like, so it's always thought that you put your hand there and then do it like this, but it's not really good as for the ergonomics and so on. The visualization in the infotainment is actually pretty cool. I can soon show that to you in detail. That looks really striking here as well. And also I will talk in depth again about the different off-road driving modes and so on. Then here, middle console, this is soft enough for your elbow. You can pull it up, feels nice and solid. Some more space underneath. Left side for your elbow. Yeah, on the left side it could actually be a little bit softer, honestly. And then we have this glass roof, and this then the digital shade. You can remove it or apply it completely. This does not change how much heat is coming in the cabin, but the heat filter, this is inbuilt from standard. Actually, very important to know. Oh, pretty cool. Also here the ambient lighting there in the front. I think they're going there also a little bit into the Mercedes direction, don't they?
I think when you change the climate, I think it's red then.
Is it? Let's see. Ah, in the door.
Ah,
in the door. Yeah, Leah saw that earlier here. Then it changes to red. Let's see if I can also see it on. Yeah, they're on my side as well.
Best greetings to Mercedes.
Yeah, best greetings from Audi to Mercedes with this feature. Yeah, I guess you can also deactivate it, but there's a little bit playing around with the light features. And the driver POV, here the 2-dimensional Audi rings. So yeah, you cannot really feel them. Hopefully they soon come back. Then the instruments. Hey, luckily we have a RPM meter even in the standard mode. Even the RS6 doesn't offer that. That's very interesting. You can switch it through the modes here a little bit. And we also have a head-up display, even with a leveling meter that shows us in the head-up display. That's interesting. Then the main infotainment unit. As I said, the drive select I can activate in the lower part down there. Most impressive view. And then balanced normal mode, dynamic mode. Then here it goes a little bit lower, 20 millimeters. And you can also use this one on the left side. So then you can also click it here on this. Though it goes down. When you go on,
strange feeling inside.
Strange feeling.
Yeah.
Goes up and down. Yeah, it's a little slow roller coaster.
Yeah.
And then here, when you click on the max, it automatically hops to the off-road mode. And this is then off-road plus lift mode. In the off-road mode here, you see here also here these impressive small stones which signalize off-road driving. Oh, they disappear when you don't look at the rear. So wait a minute. No, they're gone.
Yeah.
The stones are gone. Anyways, in the off-road mode, it optimizes traction for off-road driving and so on. And lets you also play with the car a little bit more. And you can also individualize everything.
And here's an important button. Is that in every car? This one here.
This is here for the assistance system.
Yeah.
This is like it's actually also nice. Good point by Leah. So when you click this one, you directly hop to assistance systems where you can, for example, easily deactivate some stuff. The other solution would also be that you use this favorite button with that one you can also, for example, then set that this one deactivates the EU speed chime law, and also there. So now they have really integrated a lot of possibilities to deactivate. The stones are back. That's interesting about that. Yeah, but this visualization here is actually quite cool. Leah is having a lot of fun with the stones joke. Yeah? This typical German humor, you know. Leah appreciates my German humor. I hope you do as well. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Here, look at that. Lamination in the windows in the front. This is the acoustic window. It's an option for this one. And if you go for that option, then you have it both in the front and also here for the rear. That's of course pretty cool and will probably give us good acoustic comfort. And then we can also check out the rear, and I'll also take a seat. Take a seat, young Skywalker. Take a seat behind myself. Well, you know what I mean. So then here, there's not much legroom left. And it's a super long car, and this is of course disappointing as for the usage of space, definitely. So tough when the tall person is driving in the front. Or do you know these things that you don't see them at first, and when you've once seen them or someone told you about this, then you cannot unsee it. And that was, I think, for me, one very good example is like the previous generation S-Class had this clown's mouth steering wheel, you know, that looks like, that was like, I didn't see it, and then someone told me, and they're like, oh no, I can't unsee it. And now there comes something like this. Look at these seats here from the rear. When you look at them from the rear, and also like here when you put the head restraints like this, doesn't, like the seat and with the head restraint, doesn't it look like someone would be, you know, like putting the shoulders up, you know, and do you see it? Do you see it?
Yeah.
Looks like a person puts shoulders, you know, like that, right? Yeah. Thanks. Now you can't unsee it. So not much legroom here. You see, my job is today just to make Leah laugh that she can also sustain the long shooting here of the vehicle. Headroom here to the glass was no problem, but here to the side, that's really close. That's really close. It's interesting. Yeah. So not too much space here in the rear. Actually, there's a nice manual shade here, like this. Then I knew that Liam would start laughing now again. That's also, she also has a fable for that. That like when I drop something or when I run against a wall or something or against the door, then she also starts laughing. So yeah, but she and you as well, you can have fun at my expense, no problem. You're welcome. You're welcome. A nice ambient lighting integration right here, and then we can pull down this. Then the cup holder 3-dot design. It's a beautiful job. I love when the cup holders are designed properly. Then here, it's a ski hatch. There we go, and you can also fold then the seats here in 1/3 split more to the trunk. Large middle console, and then we have the more classic capacitive unit with the clicking sound effect in the rear. Appreciate that. Yeah, interesting, right? With seat heating in the rear as well as an option, so that's cool. Yeah, I mean, I've been driving many cars now which don't have separate climate units in the rear, so I appreciate to have that. And then here, Isofix has this nice cover that you can also install the child seats. And yeah, one note again about the material. The seat ergonomics, they are both good in the front and the rear, but the thing is really, this is their top animal skin leather seat, and it is a hard material. It is hard. It's not soft. And there again, like a modern leatherette is just the better material also for the technology. You know, all ethical aspects aside, just for a second, it's of course the most important one, but the material quality of the leatherette is meanwhile better, but only if you go high quality. By the way, you know, all luxury yachts above 500,000 euros and a couple of millions, they all use high-grade leatherette because it's more durable, you know, with the salt water and so on. So it's all about going with technology going forward. Now let's measure the trunk or the boot. There we go. And 470 liters for this combustion engine version. However, the TDI has the MF+. 400 liters would be for the plug-in hybrid, and we can see here this one still has less step in there. The plug-in hybrid just would be higher here. Underneath, however, there's also then in this version not more space underneath. You could put this up, but yeah, I don't see a real reason for that, honestly. And then here, this cover, you've maybe seen it, it automatically goes upward and downward, but you can also control it manual like this. That's of course a nice feature that also always goes up and down automatically. Then let's check out the height right here. So this is about 27 inches. Or like 68 centimeters. Then the length, we are about, oh wow, that's 1 meter 20 or 47 inches. And then we are in the width, a little bit more than 1 meter or 40 inches. We can use the remote unfold right here, right and left. That's of course a good thing. And then to the seat as I would be driving. Yeah, the full ruler here is put in there, so it's like 2 meters or 79 inches. That's actually very well usable. So what's the price of the all-new Audi RS6? I mean, A6 Allroad starts in Europe, 77,000 euros as a TDI, 80,000 euros for the plug-in hybrid. And as it stands here right now, fully spec'd, all the bells and whistles, 108,000 euros. So you can easily make it 6-digit in the figures. We'll see about the North American prices later on, also with the V6 petrol and so on. And the question is if you rather would like to prefer this in this dark, sinister look, like Leah would configure it, or if you're rather Team Thomas for the silver contrast, classic A6 all-road styling. I hope we can show that to you maybe at a later stage, also when we can drive it, because we're really looking forward to how this specific one will also drive. If you're interested in the A6 in general, also with the driving and so on, we have a lot of videos already about this all-new Audi A6 generation. You can check them out right now.